Greetings, YouTube. One of my subscribers, one second, Silver Surfer 12371, has asked me about the Open Gaming License, the OGL. Now, the open concept of an open gaming license predates 2000, but for me, my introduction to it was 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons. And I don't know how many games out there now have one or had one prior to that, and I apologize if that's a gap in my personal history of the OGL, but these are just the thoughts I have about it. You remember, I started in 78 when TSR pretty much had a complete and utter lockdown on D&D. People got cease and desist orders, people were given all kinds of crap about making unofficial modules and claiming they were, for compatible with D&D when they weren't supposed to make that assumption, and there were all kinds of litigious issues in the past with TSR. Anyone know what TSR means without looking it up? Here you go, that's a quiz for you. So when Wizards of the Coast got their hands on it and decided to do 3rd edition, I was really surprised that they were going to allow us, the gaming community, to get our greedy little mitts on it within limits. And the fact that they had the system resource document available, and it's still available out there, was something that I thought was very cool. The whole idea that we would be able to access the rules from anywhere, as long as we had an internet connection, without the fluff, just the core mechanics, the guts, the crunch of the game, was something I thought was wonderful. Now there wasn't everything in it, and there were some iconic monsters that Wizards of the Coast, for example, kept in their greedy little grip, which I don't think necessarily they should have, because these are monsters that we had been using since the beginning of the game for the most part. At least initially, there weren't a whole lot of truly original monsters for 3rd edition. It was just a reconfiguring of the older stuff, which I have felt that we owned, essentially. And I still feel that, for this example, that we owned them. My book, we own the owlbear. But other than that minor, nitpick, I was really happy with it. But I didn't extrapolate what it meant. And then the third-party producers came onto the scene. And suddenly, it clicked, and I suddenly realized what it meant. It meant that we could make stuff that was official D&D, have it be fully compatible within the confines of the Open Gaming License. And that was wonderful. It was, in my opinion, and still is in my opinion, the greatest gift that the gaming community has ever received. Because not only did it mean a lot of gaming products, a lot of which are on my shelf behind me, but it meant the entire creation of whole companies. Now, we did get a lot of stuff that wasn't great. I once had someone comment about an art page, and the name of the art page is now completely and utterly slipping my mind. But there's a lot of amateur art there. And someone once said that there's a lot of art there from lesser lights, which was a really nice way of saying there was a lot of crap amateur art there. And there was a lot of crap amateur D&D material put out because of the OGL. But we ended up with entire companies, people that now make their full-time livings well after the 3rd edition era, because of the companies that were founded based on the OGL. And some of their material is wonderful. And out of that, we ended up with things like Radiance, Pathfinder. And I still contend that Pathfinder could have been 4th edition D&D if Wizards of the Coast hadn't had their head firmly shoved up their asses. But they didn't. But someone else did. And they made Pathfinder, which we're going to be going for the medium crunch kind of thing, is the best version of D&D I've ever seen. And no, I haven't looked 5th edition. No, I have no plans on it. So even though we ended up with a lot of crap, we ended up with Mutants and Mastermind. We ended up with all of Green Ronin's stuff. We ended up with Monty Cook's version of the World of Darkness, which I think is the best version there is, because at least it makes some kind of coherent sense. Because, there isn't a billion-year history behind it, which would completely and utterly change the very fabric of reality as we know it, but mysteriously doesn't. So there are just so many games that we have now, so many products we have now, that we can mine for materials forever. Dawning Star, which should have been the setting that they launched and not the one that they did, is just wonderful. The whole idea of the beginning, the golden era, when the races are just beginning to become their iconic selves. And the ability of advancing yourself as a racial paragon while you're advancing yourself as a class. It was just so well done. Dragon Star, the fusion of science fiction and fantasy into science fantasy on that level. And the Armory and Factory supplements that were not related to Dragon Star, which were in the same vein, which are incredibly good. From Stone to Steel, the best book on arms and weapons throughout the entire history of their development I've ever read. The Monster Nomicon, the 3.5 version, best monster manual ever done, period. We have so many things to be thankful for, and it's all based on the OGL. So I am incredibly grateful that we have it. And I am glad to see that there are other companies which have continued that tradition. So for example, Paizo's Pathfinder. Because of that, we have Dreamscarred Press's Psionics rules, which are the best Psionics rules, the best spell point rules ever done. It's just wonderful. And we have all of this because someone took a risk, took a gamble, and let things slip out of their grip, and let something bloom and flourish that never would have before. It's a marvel, a wonder, and I'm thankful for it. I know there was a lot of crap, but that's okay. We don't have to use the crap. But I've found stuff that was horrible that you could still use things out of. Concepts, maps, monsters, NPCs. There's still stuff we can mine from, and a lot of the stuff nowadays on the third-party market, the aftermarket, is available dirt cheap. I've reviewed some of it here. Stuff for pennies that you can get value out of. And what more can you ask for than that if you're a gamer? Okay? We have enough gaming material to last us forever. And yet, the greedy bastards that we are, we want more. I'm still waiting for Warlords of the Apocalypse for Pathfinder. I still hold hope that that someday may see the light of day. That would be nice. So, to further this conversation, what do you think about the OGL, the Open Gaming License? The concept and its implementation in 3rd edition, at least, because that's the version that I was introduced to. So if anyone could tell me the history prior to 3rd edition, and how many games, is there a list out there somewhere of all open game licensed gaming products? Is that available someplace? I wouldn't be shocked. We are a pedantic group, aren't we? Someone's probably compiled that list. If anybody has a link, throw it in the comments below. But yeah, the OGL, greatest gift the gaming community ever received.